and he's a computer-controlled mannequin. So in front of me here, I've got the same appearances on that screen there, which is his monitor, but I've also got lots of other bits and pieces which I can control directly through the computer interface to vary the parameters that we're showing here, which are the ECG tracing with his heart rate, his oxygen saturation, which is in the yellow there, and that's measured by the little clip on this left middle finger. Then we've got a blood pressure reading, another pulse. Next to that we've got in the white 16, that's his respiratory rate. And if you look, you will actually see that his chest rises and falls about 16 times a minute. So he can breathe, his chest moves up and down, and we can control how fast he does that. He also has lung sounds, so we can listen onto his chest, we can hear the breathing. He's got heart sounds, so we can listen to the heart through his chest. Bowel sounds, so we can listen to his abdomen. He has pulses in his wrist, in his elbow, in his neck, and in his groins. And he can also do other tricks. His tongue can swell up to block his airways, as though he had a peanut allergy and had an allergic reaction. And we can control all of these different effects using the computer screen to give him a whole range of different conditions or illnesses. And then what we do with our 5th year students is we get them together as a team, we make our simulator here really ill, and then we say, in you go into this room and get him better. And then they've got to work out what's going on. They've then got to decide what treatments they want to initiate. They've got to decide what practical procedures they're going to do, what interventions they're going to make. And depending on what they do, we will either improve his situation or we may kill him. And if we do that, then we can stop and we can say, right, let's go through that again, let's find out where things didn't go quite so well, let's see what we can do. Then we can bring him back to life, we have that power, and we can run the whole thing again, and then they can get an opportunity to do it a second time. So what we're doing really is we're giving students the chance to actually manage critically ill patients and learn from that experience. They can make mistakes, but they can learn from that experience, so that when they come to do that for real, when they become junior doctors on the wards, they've had that experience, they're more confident about what they're able to do, they're also more competent being able to do it, and that helps improve patient safety, because the patients can also be more confident that the quality of the doctors that they're seeing is probably better than when I was a junior doctor and I didn't have a clue what I was doing. So we've given them an opportunity that we would not otherwise be able to do. You can't take medical students, take them onto the wards, put them along with a sick patient and say, look after them and I'll be back in 2 or 3 hours. It's just simply not allowed. But this is a way in which we can do that. But we don't only use SimMan for that high level of simulation, which is what we do in Year 5. We also use him as early as Year 1, because we'll use him to help teach the students some science around the function of the human body, the physiology of how the body is controlled. And we've got programs which we run where SimMan mimics the effect of having lost a lot of blood, and the students will measure his pulse and they'll measure his blood pressure, his urinary output, and they'll put those on charts so they can see the effects that blood loss has on the cardiovascular system, and they can understand how this is working. And then we can do things like give him drugs or give him fluids to replace the lost blood, and they can see the impact of those interventions. So that they're learning science, the science of physiology, very much in the clinical context. They're learning it on a clinical case, almost with a human experiment. And it's not just coming from a dry textbook, or as in some cases you used to do, animal experiments. So we're able to make it much more realistic, much more meaningful for medical students. And we use it throughout the whole curriculum. So it's not used just in Year 1, but also in Year 2, Year 3 and 4, and we teach quite sophisticated skills, how to manage heart attacks,
how to assess trauma, how to recognise when a patient is acutely ill, and what types of things to do in those situations. So it really has become quite an important part of our undergraduate programme, this simulator, as well as some of the clinical skills that you're seeing in some of the other rooms. I'll just show you now some of the things that we can do fairly easily. At the moment he's quite stable, he's quite a happy bunny, he's got sort of a nice healthy pulse rate of 80, his blood pressure's pretty good, and his oxygen is 99%. But what we're going to do is we're going to make him a little bit sicker. So over the next couple of minutes he'll begin to go off in quite a significant way, and you'll notice that as his heart rate begins to climb up, oxygen rate will begin to decline, and then alarm bells will all start sounding, and that regular 80 per minute is now going faster. You may think that's just a bloody nuisance, that noise in the background, but it's actually telling us quite a lot. That's banging away much faster than it was 20 seconds ago. And before very long we're going to see changes that are going to set the alarms flashing, and that will be telling us that major problems are arising. With the students in the simulations, they'll be hearing that, they'll be thinking, what's happening? Why is this happening? What's occurring with this patient? What am I going to do about this? And they'll talk to each other, they'll share ideas, they'll start thinking about what interventions do we need to take. We've got the low oxygen warning now, we've got the yellow strip at the top, and there's that alarm going off in the background, and his heart rate is really pounding up. His blood pressure's dropped now, that's the red in the bottom right. Normally 120 over 70 or so, it's now 80 over 38. So that's getting bad. We've got another alarm sounding now, and these are all they've now exceeded limits that we've set on the program. And so we've got bells and whistles, everything telling us that something's wrong. And so interventions need to be taking place. If those interventions don't take place, then we are at risk of things beginning to go seriously wrong, and it's about to all go pear-shaped. And at this point, the students will say, we need to get in there and do something.